Everybody that teaches a class for the first time is going to be really scared, really terrified. Here are my top tips so you will not be scared when you are teaching your first class of any kind. First, confidence comes through competence. Get good at what you're teaching, get the right training to do it, and confidence will grow from that, but it will not grow without you practicing. In a Boxercise class, what people think they would need to practice is holding the pads. But in fact, that's actually not the thing that you really need to practice quite so much. Yes, you'll need to practice that, and yes, you'll need to get good at it. But the thing that is by far and away the most difficult thing is actually teaching in front of a group of people and being able to convey your message, the safety points, etc. across. So how do you do it? Well, I recommend you do this in 3 ways. Firstly, practice in front of a mirror. You'll be able to see what you're doing, put the hard work in, get lots of repetitions in, and get pretty good at it. Secondly, practice in front of non-fitness instructor friends. Now, one of the things that fitness instructors can be guilty of is using jargon when they're teaching. And that jargon can include such things as, when you stand with soft knees. That's fine for you and I as fitness instructors, we get it, but we're not teaching other fitness instructors. We're teaching the general public. They don't know what soft knees is. So just say, bend your legs a little bit. That's far more sensible. Don't say things to them like, stand with a neutral spine. Nobody understands what that means. Keep your back flat. Use easy words. So practice firstly in front of a mirror, secondly in front of non-fitness instructor friends, and thirdly use a video camera, because you'll pick up things on a video camera that you would not necessarily pick up by watching yourself in a mirror. You'll notice all the things like, do you do something weird with your hand, or do you pick your nose or something like that? These are the things that need ironing out before you're ready to teach a class. How much practice is needed? Okay, I would say at least 10 hours. You need at least 10 hours of practice before you should be teaching a class. If you think you need less than that, then you are overconfident, and that leads to a big problem later on. Do not be overconfident. When you're teaching, write down a simple class plan. Have plan A, plan B, and plan C. I can give you a really good example of this. I went to teach a masterclass once, it's about 20 years ago, something like that. And yes, I was very nervous. And a masterclass, people are supposed to have participated in this kind of activity before they take part. They're not complete beginners. I began teaching and it was clear to me that there were some complete beginners in the room. So I very quickly stopped the class, asked people to show their hands to say, who's never done this before? 80% of the people who were in a masterclass had never ever done it before. It wasn't a workshop, it was an introduction, it was a masterclass. They picked the wrong thing to go to. So very quickly I had to change what I was going to teach. This put me on the spot, and looking back, I don't think I did a great job of it. So now I always have a plan A and a plan B. In that class plan, let's say that your class is 1 hour long, plan for 55 minutes. If people go home a little bit earlier, that's fine. But if you overrun and the next person's knocking at the door to come in because they need you out of the room, then that's not a good situation to be in. You've got to be out of the room on time. That's professional. Be in on time, be out on time. That's professional. Practice making jokes about yourself. Practice making mistakes. When you make mistakes, make a joke about it and have a laugh about it. You could be the best technical instructor in the world, but if you're miserable and don't make jokes and have a laugh, no one's coming back next week. So you've got to make sure that people enjoy the class. Actually practice the interactions that you will have. When people come in, whether you're going to shake their hand and say hello. When you shake hands with people, shake hands with them firmly and look them in the eye. Do not be looking down like this. These things are important. Something I want you to remember, eyes and teeth. When people come into a class, do you make eye contact with them? And then, do you smile? Very difficult for some people. But if you come in and you're like, hello, and you're mumbling down like this, that's not what people come to a class for. People come to a class for extrinsic motivation. They will get this from you and from the other members of the class. Encourage interaction between members of the class. People leave gyms, they do not leave friendships. Here's another great tip. We spend a lot of time working on safety points. Safety points such as thumb outside the hand, wrist is flat, 95% of reach at the elbow. Now what you can do Although to be fair, you should know these safety points before you go teaching them. You can put them up on the wall up here and you can say, I have written these safety points down so that you know what they are. And just put them up in big bold letters on the wall so you can say thumb outside the hand at all times, and then you can refer to that. One of the best tips I've ever given is something really, really straightforward. Water bottle cap on or water bottle cap off. And if you've been taught by me, you'll know what that means. If you've not been taught by me, you'll be thinking, what on earth is he talking about? Let me explain to you. This is one of the best tips you'll ever get. My water bottle's over there next to an imaginary stereo, for example, okay? What I do is I'm teaching all of my group in front of me here, and then I go over there because I need a drink of water. So I'm going to do that. Now you can see that my water bottle cap is on in this case, isn't it? So behind my water bottle, these are my notes. This is my class plan. When I take the water bottle cap off, and when I'm putting it back on, I have time to read my notes and then go back to the group and to say, for example, don't forget to keep your wrists straight, or something else. Or I can check my timings on there as well. On the subject of class timings, now this isn't a class plan, this is just some notes that I've got. I would write down I would do a warm-up for 5 minutes, then stretches for 5 minutes, but also along here, I'd have a running time here because it's really easy to forget where you're up to. I'd write 5-minute warm-up, 5-minute stretches, and I'd go 5, 10. Then I'd have my re-warm-up, or maybe a refresher of technique. I'd put refresher of technique, re-warm-up in here, 5 minutes, and 5 minutes. Then I'd say 15 over here. This allows me to know where I am in my class at any given time, so I'm not making mistakes. People get flustered by time, so I think having a running time code, that takes a lot of pressure off if you're going to be doing that. One of the biggest mistakes that many people will make is that they'll start the class, let's say 7 p.m, something like that, and at 7:05 they're still wandering down the corridor looking around to see if anybody else is coming. Tell people to get there early just so that they can register, so you're not waiting around for people. Let people know in advance, if you're more than 5 minutes late, I will not admit you to the class, because otherwise you are wandering down there, you've got a 55-minute class plan, and the minute that you've wasted 5 minutes wandering down the corridor, you've lost your timing, you've lost your times. It's very, very difficult to recover from that. So have a cut-off time and just say, I'm sorry, next week. And be strict on that too. Final tip I'm going to give you is sports psychology related, and it's related to why do people choke either during a sports competition or when teaching a class. I've seen both happen. There's a very, very simple mechanism for this. The reason that people choke is because the recall memory, often referred to as the short-term memory, but the recall memory located here in the brain is overloaded. Now, once you've learned to do your techniques well, etc., and demonstrate it well, and once you've practiced teaching these things well, this will then be committed to your long-term memory, and the movements will be committed to the central pattern generators in the spinal cord, freeing up your recall memory. If you have to start thinking about, how do I teach this? My thumb's outside my hand, and you're thinking then, what's next? Oh yeah, my wrist is straight. Now turn sideways to demonstrate the wrist because people can see that better. Your recall memory is processing too much information. The reason people choke is the recall memory gets overloaded. So you've got to clear that out. And the only way you can clear it out is practicing by repetitions. If you've done our training course, you'll know that it takes about 300 repetitions for you to be able to commit something to your long-term memory. That means having practiced teaching something, not just doing, but teaching something about 300 times. So how do you stop choking? Free up the recall memory. Get good at it in advance. I refer back to my earlier statement that confidence will come with competence. Finally, before you do teach your first class of any type, whether it be Boxercise, whether it be Zumba, or whether it be kettlebells, I wish you the very, very best of luck. If you have any other things that you think I've missed, please comment in the section below, anything that you think I've missed, and I'll redo this video gladly, and I'll include your tips as well for how to run a great first class. Best of luck, guys. Hope your class is a knockout.